Hey, True Believers England teen here. Look, we know Alan Moore's gone off the rails for decades now, but this time he isn't just biting the hand that feeds him. He's biting the hand that continues to feed him. In all honesty, I say this at the end as well, but in his feud with the comic book companies, it seems he's willing to take out the comic book fans. Anyway, here we go. Here's the article. Alan Moore said, so he did this interview here, and there's no freaking way I'm reading all of this.
I was going to say, he speaks in big paragraphs with no pausing.
He's promoting his book, Jerusalem. A couple of things that actually had to do with comics, so I figured let's go and talk about that. Because this guy asks him, what have led you to create V for Vendetta? What were the influences and the ideas passing in your mind? And he says, I'm afraid that for a few years now, I've felt that since I am apparently not allowed to own the work that I created in the same manner that an author in a more grown-up and worthwhile field might be expected to do, since my protests at having my work stolen from me are interpreted by a surely young at heart and non-unionized audience as evidence of my grouchiness and cantankerousness, then the only active position that is left to me is to disown the works in question. First of all, I hate what happened to comic book creators. I hate what's still going on where they do not own their creations, at least in some part. Jack Kirby is a cautionary tale that everybody should be following. So I understand a little bit about this, but he did sign a contract. So he knew what he was getting into, and one of the he could have put something in the contract where I own this character, I own that character. If you want me to work for you, I own these characters. Especially at the time, because DC Comics was tanking. They were falling. But he didn't. So it wasn't stolen. That's what I would have to say there. I no longer own copies of these books, and other than the earnest creative work that I put into them at the time, my only association with these works are broken friendships, perfectly ordinary corporate betrayals, and wasted effort. Given that I will certainly never be reading any of these works again, and that I have no wish to see them or even to think about them, it follows that I do not wish to discuss them, sign copies of them, or indeed have anything to do with them. As I would hope should be obvious, to separate emotionally from work that you are previously very proud of is quite painful experience and is not undertaken lightly. However, having to answer questions about my opinions regarding DC Comics' latest imbecilic use of my characters or stories would be much more harrowing. And of course, it is not as if I don't have plenty of current work to get on with. So this is a bullshit answer. It's rude in my opinion.
Yeah,
he did create it. People love it. He's just being a douchebag saying this. And here's something. He says he refuses to sign it. This is why people love you, man. You're selling Jerusalem because you created V for Vendetta. You're selling this book because people like your
Watchmen or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen or your run of Swamp Thing.
Right.
All of which are still great, by the way. And incidentally, Alan, you do have another option, you know. You could just stay with me for a second, Alan. You could potentially, just maybe for a second, get the ever-living Christ all over yourself, please.
But listen, though, ironically, he's doing the people who already have it signed it all. If they ever get it signed anything by him, they're making it rare. He's doing him a favor.
Well, Alan Moore has always been a bit of a dickhead, so there is that.
He's an artiste. You can't judge him.
The guy goes on to ask him, what was the impact of popular heroes comics in the culture? Why are people fascinated by alternate realities? And this is where he just goes off. I think the impact of superheroes on popular culture is both tremendously embarrassing and not a little worrying. While these characters were originally perfectly suited to stimulate the imaginations of their 12 or 13-year-old audience, today's franchised Ubermenschen aimed at supposedly adult audiences seem to be serving some kind of different function and fulfilling different needs. Primarily, mass-market superhero movies seem to be abetting an audience who do not wish to relinquish their grips on A, their relatively reassuring childhoods, or B, the relatively reassuring 20th century. The continuing popularity of these movies, to me, suggests that some kind of deliberate self-imposed state of emotional arrest combined
okay.
with, hold on, let me at least get to a period, with a numbing condition of cultural stasis that can be witnessed in comics, movies, popular music, and indeed right across the cultural spectrum. This guy is almost as wordy as you, Dalton.
Okay, few things. Number one, Alan, you have been the advocate against traditionally growing up since you were in your 20s, dude. Don't start this whole but adulthood bullshit, sir. And I'm well aware of what most people are going to be saying to this, because Alan, you grew up into a wizard. You clearly don't give a crap about what traditionally growing up means. And that's fair enough, because I don't care about it either. But I don't say I don't care about growing up normally and then whine about people are so arrested in their childhoods and her. And Alan, you and your ilk, i.e. you and the rest of the British invasion, were instrumental in helping comics to appeal to older audiences. And that was exactly the point you were going for when you did that. Don't turn around and then go, I'm so ashamed because I let people keep their childhoods and whatnot alive. Alan, have you ever considered the possibility, and I know you have because you've said this on other occasions, that maybe the traditional notion of growing up and putting away childish things is psychologically detrimental to people, i.e. if you force people to give up on all of their dreams and force people to fill this narrow role of a cog in a freaking corporate or societal machine, they're going to break down. That's what midlife crises are about. It's people breaking under the strain of having to basically give up their entire personhood. And you know this, Alan. I don't know what the crap you, Bill Maher, Gavin McGinnis, and all these people are on, but you need to understand that we don't give a crap about your definition of what it means to be an adult, especially not from a person who looks as though they haven't had a day without a joint of weed in their face for about 20 years, sir.
I was just going to say, yeah, exactly. He says this like it's an insult. Look, I'm 50 freaking years old. I've paid my bills. I've had all the injuries. I've worked for a place that fired me right after I twisted my knee on the job into a permanent injury that now has me sitting down every 50 feet, lest I get a swollen joint. You know, I've done all this, and I'm sure that everybody in the in the chat has that same kind of story. Something where, you know, okay, life has knocked them down a couple of times. You know, sure. So sure, you know what? If we don't want to put away some childish things, if we want to go to a Captain America movie, if we want to see a cartoon, if we want to watch Star Wars, if we want to do the same things that made us feel good as a kid, yeah, go on ahead. We've earned it.
And
every freaking day you wake up and you don't put a freaking gun in your mouth, you've earned it.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, Alan. Just because something appeals to children doesn't mean it can't also appeal to everyone. Because good art is good art no matter how old you are. Like I've always said, if you as a kid watch the movie Casablanca, does that make Casablanca a kid's movie?
Continues saying the superheroes themselves largely written and drawn by creators who have never stood up for their own rights against the companies that employ them. That's not true. Much less the rights of Jack Kirby or Jerry Siegel or Joe Shuster. That's not true. Would seem to be largely employed as cowardice compensators, perhaps a bit like the handgun on the nightstand. I would also remark that save for a smattering of non-white characters and non-white creators, these books and these iconic characters are still very much white supremacist dreams of the master race. In fact, I think that a good argument could be made for D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation as the first American superhero movie and the point of origin for all those capes and masks. Holy shocking mushrooms. Did Alan Moore just go off the rails on that one? He called every superhero born from racism and white supremacy. There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
How did he get from there to there? I don't even like. Normally, I can put some reason to the madness, but I'm just like, what, Alan? Comics, if they come from anywhere, come from pulps, which in turn are linked almost explicitly to novels, as you yourself made the point of in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And if you want to go back further, it relates to classical Western mythology. So are you saying that classical Western mythology is white supremacist? Because I would hate to point this out to you, but that puts you in the company of people who were literal Nazis, because literal Nazis thought that Western civilization led to white supremacy.
You have deconstructed an entire genre and exerted major influence in the adult comic books after the publication of Watchmen. How do you see its lasting impact on comics? Again, see my answer to question 6. Frankly, I don't think about comics that much. I don't think of Watchmen at all. And the lasting impact of one upon the other is really no longer my concern. You have been in and out of, hold on, it goes on. You have been in and out of the comic big publishers all your life. How do you feel about the industry at this point? I'd imagine that after these last 3 questions, my feelings, such as they are about the comic book industry at this point, would be fairly obvious, other than finishing my commitments to those publishers such as Knockabout, Avatar, and Top Shelf, who have always treated me well. I don't want to do anything, have anything to do with the comic book industry in the future. I still respect and love the comic medium and may very well work in the medium at some future point, but I genuinely want to put my connections with a comic book industry that appears to me to be hopelessly dysfunctional far, far behind me. There you go.
Okay, Alan, just because you hate yourself and you feel guilty for what you added to the medium doesn't mean you get to forget the entire history of the medium and your entire contributions to it. Screw right off, sir, if you jolly well please.
He is he's free to forget about it all he wants. It is kind of a slap in the face to fans who, because he like I said, the only reason why he's got the clout and the name to sell this this
is because of all those things he's so very ashamed of. Yeah.
All the things he's ashamed of is selling. Yeah.
Thank you for Swamp Thing. You can go now.
I guess so. He wasn't saying that Nazis made the superheroes. He was saying that superheroes are a white supremacist dream of the Ubermensch, so to speak. Overall, Watchmen was a great graphic novel that caused the new Dark Age gritty superheroes. Was good for some, but all comics jumped off the gritty cliff like the lemmings. Yeah, that happened in the 90s. Very bad, very badly. Remember to share and chomp the like button. Hey, that would be nice. That would be nice. Is Alan Moore arrogant? Just a touch. I think that he comes off that way.
Yeah, you think is the only response I can come up with there.
Yeah, because he obviously sees himself above the medium that made him famous. Hey, kids, it's Englentine live now. I guess this is something after we did this. We just talked about the meat and potatoes of everything here. One thing I didn't say, that while I'm rewatching this, while I'm editing it, and at this point we were like 45 minutes in, we are such warty bastards. I tried to save the what I thought were the best bits, which was mostly Dalton just going off on Alan Moore. Anyway, one thing that occurred to me that I didn't mention is that it seems like Alan Moore is so mad at the comic book industry that he doesn't mind if he's hitting the fans. You know, not signing a book that a fan loves and appreciates and it's what brought him to it. That doesn't hurt the industry. Seriously, it just hurts the fan. If you're going to be treating the people who made you famous or the people who discovered your works and want to discover more crappily, I mean, we actually started a movement based on this. Oddly enough, the people who are still continuing that kind of stuff has turned on what that movement has become, because they are acting exactly like Alan Moore here. It's amazing. Well, not exactly, but you get it. Anyway, that's all we had to say about it. We basically rambled from here on in. It's amazing to me that Alan Moore has gotten to this particular stage. You hear about the quirky things he says. He's disowned his works. But to turn on the fans, like I said, it doesn't hurt the comic book industry what he's doing. Not even a bit. They're going to continue to sell V for Vendetta. They're going to continue to sell The Watchmen. And he's just going to piss off the fans when they meet him, hoping to get a signature, hoping to get a word or two, or to share their excitement for a work he did. It just is amazing to me that he's taken this view. Anyway, there you go, gang. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell. And go on over to Ko-Fi or to Patreon. Drop $1 in the till. Help this channel survive. You could even commission a video if you would like. Thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.